Good afternoon and welcome to Talking with Margaret. Today we're going to be talking about mind chatter. Yes, mind chatter. Everybody has it. It's not always good chatter. So we're going to dive in and get a little more in-depth information about our mind chatter. To give you a little bit of information, I'm Margaret Martin. I'm here as a person who helps people make positive change in their lives. And I do that as an author. Today, we'll be talking about some of the parts of my book, The Chatter That Matters, Your Words Are Your Power. And I also am a coach. I am a life coach as well as a career consultant / coach. I am also a speaker. I provide keynote presentations and I also give training programs in various topics. You can find out more information at margaretmartin.com. And I invite you to call in if you'd like to discuss or share a little bit of information about your mind chatter, and that's at 347-838-8835. So let's talk about that mind chatter. When I'm giving a keynote presentation based on this topic, the power of your word and the chatter that matters, I always start it with a quote that says, "You are what you think about, whether you like it or not." And I pause for a moment and then I repeat that. You are what you think about, whether you like it or not. And that usually gets people stirring around a little bit and thinking, oh my gosh, what are all the things I think about? So one of the things I like to share with them, as I share with you, is research shows that we have between 12,000 and 50,000 thoughts a day. And about 50% of those are negative. For some people, it's a higher percentage. For others, not quite so high. So think about where your chatter comes in, as whether it's where you rate as far as negative or positive chatter. One of the things that I also like to relate to is if you will say we'll pick 40,000 thoughts. And if we'll put this put this into a thought bank. And in our thought bank, as we wake up every day, we know we're going to have 40,000 thoughts. And 20,000 of those will be negative on average. So just think about what that does to your energy level, so to speak, or the amount of positive flow you have in your thought bank. So what about if we also, for every positive thought, we got to add $1 of thought in our thought bank? And if we got to, if we had negative thoughts, we have to subtract $1 out of our thought bank. And that subtraction, that negative, actually can be, it's shredded, it's burned, it's whatever. Or actually, so you can't ever retrieve it. But the interesting thing is sometimes those negative thoughts actually continue to mushroom and build stronger and stronger and stronger. So by doing that, the number of times you repeat that same negative thought, you'll have more and more money or thoughts draining from your thought bank. So say you have, I'm so stupid because you made a mistake thought, and you say that over and over and over again. Just think about the negative that's being created there in your mind. So what do we do about this? We're going to talk about that today. But one of the other things I want to present you with is a thought about that I like to use for perspective. That you will experience whatever you think after you say the words, I am. Wow. Every time you say, I am, you're going to experience more of that. That's pretty powerful. because when you really listen to people, when they say, I am this or I am that, I am always late, I am, oh, I heard somebody say something about being, always being overweight. All of these different things that people say I am to. And sometimes I just say, wait a minute, is that what you really want more of? Or would you like to perhaps change the way that statement comes out so it's something more empowering and more positive? So let's talk about that as you look about how to change some of this, 50% of it. One of the things I like to do, and there's a process in the book that you can take this through, is to get a notepad, like a legal pad or whatever, and sheet of paper, and put two columns on it right down the middle, and the left column is negative and the right column is positive. And with that, you will want to write down any recurring negative thoughts that you have, or those that happen to present themselves. And this can be done over several days as you happen to then become much more aware of what you're saying with your mind chatter that's negative. And so what do we do with that? Well, after you've completed your list, and you can continue to add to it and make these changes, one of the things I like to do is help people change that negative to something that's more empowering. People will say, I will never be able to have $20,000 extra in my bank account. Well, that's pretty limiting when you think about it. We don't always know how it's going to happen, but if we want something like that to happen, at least we put it out there. My goal for the book this year is 5,000 copies to be sold, and I'm about, at this point, 4,990 copies yet to go, but from the statistics that I have. But in the meantime, if I don't put it out there, how is it, yeah, it might happen. But there's the stories of, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen with their book, the very first Chicken Soup for the Soul book. And so, what they put out there, they worked at it. And that's what we have to do. But here again, going back to your negative thoughts, to change them into words of empowerment. So after you've made that list of negative thoughts, then let's take it into changing it into something that's more empowering. How can you take, I will never have $20,000 in my bank account, to I'm working diligently to have $20,000 in my bank account. I am open to unexpected income so that I may have $20,000 in my bank account. So there are a lot of different ways you can take the negative and change it into something positive. And so you may want to play around with whatever your statements are. And hey, feel free to email me at mmartin@margaretmartin.com and ask. I'll help you through some of this. This is part of what I do in workshops, so certainly happy to. Or email me or call me at 727-725-3370. And, we can talk through this. But in the meantime, what you want to do is create something, and you may play around with these words and then sort of shrink it down to where it is more of a short I am statement. For health, for instance, instead of worrying about all the illnesses you have, if you have illnesses, I'm very blessed that I don't, thankfully. But if you did, how can you change that? Is the way I created my I am mantra for health is, I am whole and healthy, fit, toned, and flexible, and experiencing total health in my body, mind, and spirit. So you can change things like that. Grab it, use those if they work for you. It's certainly not copyrighted material. So make sure that once you get these, you may want to put them on a 3x5 card, or a little list, like a bookmark kind of list that you can take with you. It's very helpful to repeat these. out loud or think them. And as you think them, get into the feeling process of what you're thinking so that you can really feel what that might feel like. And that's the piece that makes the difference. And really, it can only take maybe 5 minutes out of your day, 3 or 4 times a day, maybe. And can you imagine the difference in how you may feel? You're going to then be putting more money, more positive thoughts into your thought bank that you have for each day. So, one of the other things to do is also to catch yourself in the negative mind chatter. And once you become much more aware, you'll catch yourself. And it happens to all of us. Hey, I wrote a book on it, but in the meantime, I still deal with some of the negative mind chatter every day. That's part of what makes us human. And one day recently, I had something come up, and I just got into this. About 3 minutes, before I caught myself and thought, "Wait a minute! Stop! 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 Stop!" I said to myself, "Get out of that mode." And then focus on something that's more powerful for yourself. And gratitude will always do that. Be grateful for something in your life that you have. And we have so much in our lives for which we can be grateful that it's usually not hard to find that. And speaking of gratitude, that's one of the things I also, we'll talk more about this later on, but in another one of the programs, but I always end each day in gratitude. I have a journal that I keep beside my bed, and I write 3 to 5 or more, however many things I think of, but a minimum of 3 things for which I'm grateful for that particular day. And interestingly enough, early this morning, I was looking for something in the cabinet where I keep the gratitude journals and realized I've been doing this since 1999. So wow, 14 years I've been keeping my gratitude journal throughout all of these years, and hardly a day ever goes by that I don't record it. So if I happen to be in a situation where I've traveled and forgotten to bring it with me, I always say them out loud to myself for those things for which I'm grateful. So I would encourage you to begin something like that as well. So as we're moving on here, as we're looking at what we want in our lives, one of the other things we talk about that will help with a negative mind chatter and certainly give you more positive mind chatter is, what is it that you want in your life? Do you write your goals or intentions or what things you want to do or have in your life each year? People call them different things. So whatever word works for you, it's important to write down. And actually, there's such a small percentage of people who really do write it down. I think it's 1 to 3% of people who really write down their goals or intentions for what they want in their lives. So as a coach, one of the things I encourage and give my clients a worksheet that says they can put items on their goals in areas such as health. And I give them 3 places to write down 3 goals for that, or intentions, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to use the word goal, so you can change it to whatever makes you happy. And I also say then underneath that, give them 3 lines to make initial action steps they'll take in order to get that done. So we'll look at health. We'll look at our career or work. What are the things we want there? What do we want in our relationships? And that can look at family, friends, different types of relationships that we have. Our financial goals, our personal development. Do you really make goals or set intentions for things to help you grow? That may be things like reading various books to help on learning something new, whether it's for work or your own personal development, meaning self-help kind of books. Spiritual books, those are important. Whatever that looks like for you. Going to workshops, attending meetings, learning something new, the personal development, expanding your network, getting out more. Volunteering, that's charity. What do you do in the area of charity? What do you do in the area of self-care? That is one most people leave off. It's not the same as play. Can be, but not exactly. So always think about, what are these things? Those are just a few of the things that I like for people to look at as they are starting to work with me as a coach. So once you've written those down, and we always wonder how are we going to get all of these things done? It looks like it's overwhelming. Well, one of the things I took from, and with permission, to use in my book, was created by my friend Lauren McLaughlin, and she wrote a book called Go to Elf, Connecting with the Eternal Life Force. And in this wonderful novel that she has, that's set in St. Petersburg, Florida. So if you're in the Clearwater, St. Pete, Tampa Bay area, you may recognize some of the sites within the book, as well as a good story, excellent story that you'd want to read. But she created something called the Life Design, and I love this because it makes it really simple. Is you write down what you want. So, if you want a new car, and this can be for anything, not just your goals. If you will say you want a new car, so you write that down. I want a new car, and a specific car. You may want, whatever it is. Let's say one of the cars I'd like to have, a cute little red Porsche convertible. I've forgotten the model number. I'd have to go look those up. I didn't actually prepare that piece for here. But anyway, so I want a little red Porsche convertible. Why do I want that? Because I've always wanted a Porsche, and I love my red Toyota convertible, and I love convertibles, so that's why I want it, because I feel good in it. It's like a mini vacation when I put the top down, no matter where I'm going. And then I think it's just fun. It's a way to have fun. Plus, it's a means of transportation, getting me to and fro wherever it is I'm going. So how will I feel? That's the next one. How will you feel when you have this? So how will I feel when I have a cute little new red Porsche convertible? I will be exhilarated. I will be excited. I will be so full of joy. You'll be hearing about it all over everywhere, because I can't imagine what it's going to feel so good to get in that and drive across the causeway out to Clearwater Beach and enjoy the beautiful sunsets we have here, or anywhere for that matter. I will feel exhilarated, and I will feel an accomplishment. I will feel proud of myself for having gotten it done. So the next step, the fourth step, is, why do you believe you can have it? Wow, that takes a little thinking. Why do I believe I can have a red Porsche convertible? Well, because I've always wanted one, and working diligently to have the income in order to be able to purchase one. And I think it would be just a lot of fun. That's why I believe I can have one, because I want one. And I'll do what it takes to get it. Now, the fifth step is really often the hardest one. And that's letting go of the how. The how, you say? Yep, letting go of how. We often tend to, as we look at the things we want, I could say, I don't know how in the world I'm ever going to get a red Porsche convertible. I guess I'd have to win the lottery. It doesn't matter. I put it out there. I'll follow my intuition. I will take the action steps as needed as they're provided by the suggestions of my intuition. And who knows? I intend to have that red Porsche, and we'll keep you posted. So I'm letting go of the how. Of how that's going to happen, how that's going to transpire. And one of the interesting things I can share with about a friend of mine who set the intention to find a perfect little home here in Pinellas County along not far from the water, not far from the beach. And she wrote the intention. She also wrote the life design. She did a PowerPoint, what it looked like. She had the whole thing out. And you know what? In just a few short months, it happened. So don't sell yourself short on the fact that you can't tame this negative mind chatter and turn it into positive. And it's just a matter of becoming aware, creating new habits so that you can be able to do that. Oh, and by the way, don't forget you can call in at 347-838-8835. We have just a few more minutes left for today's call, but I wanted to be able to give you that number again. All of these things always lead you to a more positive mind chatter. And that's what we want. We want people to be able to take the steps in order to create a good life for themselves. You know, my mission is, and my work actually, is about helping people make positive change in their lives. And I feel that by doing that, people can really experience a life filled with peace, joy, and fulfillment. And it is attainable. There are many people in the world doing this. So they're following whatever steps that works for them. So I'm just offering you some suggestions here, and hopefully that you've learned one or two things that will make your life more positive and more meaningful. But I'd like to wrap up today with a quote I credit for myself that I came up with is, "You have the power to choose your thoughts. Each thought is an investment." So use what you've learned today and in the upcoming talk radio programs. Learn to choose good thoughts so that you invest wisely. And always remember, your chatter matters. I'm Margaret Martin, and I thank you for joining me today on Talking with Margaret about mind chatter. And remember, you can connect with me at margaretmartin.com, 727-725-3370. I look forward to hearing from you soon.